All right, mic check. I think I'm good. Man, I think this is the fourth time me doing this one too, because the mic was in and out, in and out, in and out, and I had it right that time. I think the babies, we're adults now, but the babies between the mid-70s and the late 80s, I may be off by the years or whatever, but I believe that we endured the ramifications of the last rounds of segregation, desegregation, and slavery mentality from our parents, because they had to deal with it from their parents, or whoever raised them, you know what I'm saying? Could have been their grandparents or whatever, so you had to look at these things, and I don't think we ever did, because think about it. I know for me, I'm an 84 child. When my grandma was in her 40s or 50s or something like that, it was like 30 years ago. How old? Yeah, in her 50s. In her 50s, because she's 80 something now. So in her 50s, when she had the gatherings at her house, it's my mom's mom, the kids would be over here at these tables, the parents or the adults would be at these tables, and you had to do what you was told as a kid, stay in the child's place and all of this. You really weren't allowed to be at the adults' table like that. You know what I'm saying? And there was so much separation when it came to these type of things, and a child having a viewpoint or having a feeling, an emotion, or this, that, and the other, it didn't matter. You just being a kid. You don't know nothing. You wait till you get older. You ain't no adult, so you don't understand. You ain't tired. You ain't got no headache like that. You ain't frustrated. You don't know what frustration is. You like, wait a minute. You ain't even asked me, why do I feel this way? So I think parents weren't allowed that growing up, because they dealt with the harder parts of it. So they're only following the blueprint that they knew. Even if they feel like it was wrong, or they felt like something happened to them that was wrong, they don't have the avenues that we have now as far as mental health is concerned to go out there and do that. Because you know how families was back then. Keep everything in house. Don't tell nobody what's going on, and here you out there telling them folks our business. But in actuality, some folks needed to go out and get some help. We didn't know what bipolar disorder was. Violent compulsive disorders and all of that. ADD, ADHD, OC, all of that mess. We didn't know what none of this was. But it was like, he just crazy. He'll get over it. They'll figure it out. He just need to do better. He didn't know no better. And based off of the events that transpired from them in their childhood and their adulthood, they missed it. So they're only responding and reacting to us based off of what goes on in their mentality. Like, you look at them and certain traumatic events, something we can do as kids inadvertently triggers that response, and they're only responding to you in the adult form based off of how they were as a kid. It's crazy. So when you go through those certain things and you don't get the proper help, education or whatever, what can you do? So I think, like, for them, especially if you get the time to talk to them, when they get in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're a lot more vulnerable, and they allow you to see and hear parts of their upbringing, you start recognizing it. Damn, yeah, you had it rough. I think our parents are physically stronger than we were. I think we're mentally stronger than them, but they were physically stronger. They just dealt with stuff. And like I said, because of the avenues, think about it. If you have children now, your kids could not survive what your parents survived at all. Not even a fragment of it. We barely could survive because we was going through it with them. And look at how, if you got other siblings and you were the oldest and it went down the line, you see how more lenient they got, the more kids that they had. Of course, it's a learning experience, but you know, they got tired. It was just like, oh well, whatever. I can't keep controlling all of this. And that's because of life. It wasn't because they recognized that I can only control certain actions in my child and nurture them to do the right things. It's just, okay, whatever. No, I'm too old to be trying to go back and do this. I ain't finna do all that. I'm too old to be dealing with you now. You go out there and do that, you on your own. You know, they was like that. It wasn't, I don't think you should do that, and these are the reasons why. There was no explanations when it came to that. So we were just given the last parts of it, the ass end of it. Think about it. You know, when we were growing up, we were going across the street, getting sugar from neighbors across the street. Everybody on the streets knew each other. We were sliding down hills by the house on cardboard, flipping, doing backflips on dirty mattresses behind the apartments and everything else. Like, we did all of that. These kids don't do that. They didn't really get a chance to do that. Our parents and stuff really didn't get a chance to do too much of that. They had to be helpless, you know what I'm saying? So I believe they deserve some grace. It doesn't mean that you should allow them to keep doing the same harmful stuff that they did to you. Yeah, set your boundaries up for your own mental and psychological safety, of course. But recognizing that, because I look at it, my great grandma was a hard woman. That was a tough woman. She was born in 1905. She went through all the stuff I couldn't even imagine. That was a tough woman. She was cutting her yard at 80. Cutting her own yard, getting pecans out the trees and stuff. They're like, that was a tough, hard woman. Did she love you? Yes, but it wasn't in the form that you expected it. You couldn't go in her kitchen when she was cooking. You know what I'm saying? I think some of us remember, you know, they had their plastic on the furniture. That was terrible. But she was a hard woman. It wasn't the loving thing, the nurturing thing. She was just hard. But you know she cared. So you have to look at, okay, this is what they had to grow up with. That was my great grandmother. So that means my grandfather had to deal with that. And that's on my dad's side. So that means my father had to deal with that from his father. So what you think I get? So you have to give them some grace when it comes to that. You know, after a while, some of the parents be like, you know what, we need to talk and y'all can have that heart to heart. Some parents, not all now. You can have that heart to heart and y'all can move further, grow and get a better relationship from that point forward. But some of them, you just have to be like, you know what, I can forgive them for this because this is all they know. They were only responding based off of the kid in them. And forgive myself for not even understanding what it was. And so I can move forward in my life and this not continuously be problematic to my kids if I have any, or the relationships that I attempt to build. You know what I'm saying? And I can be better. It opens up the doors for me to learn more about myself and view myself better than the stigmas that happen because of hardships, traumatic events, and everything else. So I think I think they deserve that grace. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my view. Hopefully it's understood. If not, you know, leave some comments down at the bottom, man. We'll figure this out. That'll be cool.